Hey everyone, Dan here. We are just before market close on Thursday, June 17th. We're going to do an update video on Workhorse today. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also feel free to comment below with your thoughts, opinions, ideas, questions, comments, I guess that's obvious, or tickers that you'd like me to cover. All right, so Workhorse, this is from the chart that I had shared the other day. All these purple zones are bounce zones. I would consider these potentially really good buying opportunities if the price shows some strength as it hits them. If Workhorse can establish itself back up into these blue price target areas, I would treat this yellow and this red zone as potential cautionary and stop loss if you wanted to. Potentially then dip buying back in below here. But, that's just an idea. But what I had also said in that video was, there was the strong look at that point that this could just be a big bull flag coming up here and then pulling back a bit. And then the next day after that video, we did see it leave that channel, that down channel that was completing the bull flag, but has since started to curl back down toward it. And I'll sort of point out a couple of reasons why shortly. But let's get rid of these channels because they're just sort of clogging us up at the moment. So one of the reasons that it came back down here is because of all this previous price activity. So I also said in that video that, it wouldn't surprise me if Workhorse did come back down, if it came back down into this box, which is basically just between the red and the purple here. So I don't need to drag the box over. But because I had spent so much action in there previously, it's expended a lot of buys and sells with high volume in these areas. It made sense to me that if it did want to come back down somewhere, that it would come back down into that zone again, consume up additional volume with buys and sells, and then pick its next direction. So I do think that this is sort of like consolidating into this zone a bit. But that is additionally still why I think these purple bounce zones hold some merit, depending on what the price does, if and when it gets there. It may not. It's obviously trying to fight back and hold on at the moment. What it is developing also, from a trend perspective, is this down trend right here. So I'm going to keep this on the chart for now, and I think the next thing that we should be looking for is, can it solidify this recent double bottom here, use that to either continue sideways and push itself out early next week, or use that as, okay, we consumed all of the buying pressure, then we got some selling pressure, and now is there still some buying pressure left here to push us back up? If so, maybe the selling pressure is gone from this 1543 resistance zone, and that'll allow pushing out and over that downtrend line. But otherwise, it's just not that surprising that it's spending a bunch of time in this zone between the red and the purple because of this previous price activity here. The other thing that we can look at is the indicators to just sort of like get our bearings. So relatively low on the RSI right now, 46, was spending time in oversold territory yesterday or the day before. And so that obviously provided some good buying pressure to come in yesterday, but again, it just got stuck underneath this downtrend and wasn't able to make its way back up. Essentially sort of double, triple topped itself out there between those 2 days, yesterday and today, and sold off even further. On the MACD side of things, a slightly bearish crossover right now, so sort of testing that bottoming out that we'd placed right here to see if it can push itself up and out, or if it's going to sort of make its way and push down toward that 1359 potential bounce zone. On the short interest side of things, a couple of things to talk about there for sure. Yesterday, huge jump up in short volume ratio. So I'm sorry if you've heard me say this 1,000 times, but in the mid to high 20s is really like significant short volume ratio, aka it's pretty high. In the 30s is pretty bananas. So in the 30s is where it really gets sort of like either the pressure from the shorts really gets, the heat gets turned up and the price gets pushed down really hard, and or the potential for those shorts to be extremely over leveraged and run the risk of getting squeezed out in a few days really starts to amp up. So one thing to keep in mind, a bunch piled in yesterday, and if we look here at the days to cover, last we know, which is from the last reporting date in 5/28, they were taking about 5.5 days to cover. So yesterday was the 16th, and if we just count our trading days here, yesterday was the 16th, so we have the 17th is Thursday, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday. So next Wednesday, I think could be really interesting because that would mean they held 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so if that's still relatively accurate data, I would love to see if there's a bunch of closing out there if the price holds. So let's just give ourselves a little box here. Don't know where the price will be, so I'm going to try to just give this some space. Let's give ourselves a box there and just, maybe it'll stand out when we look at it next week. To sort of keep in mind that day may be coming where a bunch of them, just based on the fee that they're incurring, and if it is relatively productive or sideways action even, will a bunch close out then, because that seems to be relatively the cycle that they're on for covering positions. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the near term. More granular set of data, this Interactive Brokers 15-minute data set that we get. This was the close of day yesterday, 65,000 shares available to borrow. So there was a small closing out, basically nothing in the vast scheme of things. 35,000 shares came back in, but then today has been completely flat. So fees not really moving in any meaningful way. The supply is staying exactly where it was all day, so shorts seemingly not continuing to pile in, but they came in so heavy yesterday, causing this big sell-off that, they haven't really picked up the volume again today, but the availability is getting relatively low, at or below 100,000. So this selling off today, could just be a retesting of this support zone. Could be some additional shorts coming in, just not from Interactive Brokers. And, it'll be interesting to see if shorts aren't really continuing to pile in after today, and we can get that big closeout next Wednesday. Can the price, basically the institutions, the retail investors who are driving the price activity between now and then, could they continue to push this one at least sideways? Even sideways at this rate would get it out of that downtrend before hitting that 5.5 days to cover mark. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the days ahead. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think that's about all I got on this one. Okay, well, good luck if you're in Workhorse. I definitely hope that you're trading it smartly. It's been a wild ride so far in June, essentially. So interesting to see how the second half of June plays out. Well, I appreciate you watching, and I will keep you all updated on Workhorse as we get into it in the future days. If something interesting happens tomorrow, I'll do my best to cover it, but if not, certainly early next week as we approach this Wednesday situation. I'll throw some updates here or on my Twitter. I'll put my Twitter handle in the description below in case you want to check there as well. And that'll do it. Thanks a bunch for watching. I will see you in the next video.